Well, welcome back as we continue exploring Oroco, a resource as a pure play in one of the largest multi-billion-dollar copper assets in Mexico, fueling generations to come is probably one of the most interesting metals right now. And joining to discuss just that, Ian Graham, the president. First and foremost, welcome, sir.
Hi, Kyle. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, always a pleasure to get you back on, especially because I think people underappreciate of all the metals out there what copper's doing for the economy. And as we last discussed, actually, copper continues to rally back to that $5 USD per pound price, still a little below that, but holding decade record highs. And a lot of people are obviously looking for new supplies. And while you've been in Mexico, it looks like you're getting the government on board. There's been a lot happening just within the last month. But for newer audiences, maybe explain to them the value proposition here, because I still don't think they actually are fully digesting this multi-billion dollar asset, this opportunity that kind of sits in front of you guys and why it's so prevalent. So maybe break down some of the economics.
Absolutely. So we have 8.5 billion pounds of copper in the ground. It's outcropping in part in the hill that is sort of in the backdrop behind me. Those roads you see, there's copper coming to surface there. And the area you see is what we call the North Zone. And we've got 4.5 billion pounds of copper in that zone, outcropping, as I said, and that has been drilled off to an indicated category of resource. And then off to as the hill gets a bit higher in the image behind me, you head towards the South Zone. And there we've got another just over 4 billion pounds of copper. It also outcrops there. However, we haven't drilled that to the same density, and so that's in the inferred category of resource. Nevertheless, very large resource, and we've done a preliminary economic analysis study of that, a detailed piece of work of the resource in the two categories, and demonstrated a mine plan for that, which would extract over 5 billion pounds of copper equivalent. And the first 7 years of mining extracts copper at a 0.51 copper equivalent grade of copper. So that really juices up the economics of the plan we've put together. So the focus on that study was to demonstrate a cash flow from the production of copper against a very sensible capital investment that made for a very, very compelling project with excellent capital investment to return ratios. So we think we've daylighted the project opportunity at this fantastic resource. And what really works at Santo Tomas, it's very accessible. We're close to infrastructure, high pressure gas pipeline, rail, highway, and we're 160 kilometers from a deep water port that is underutilized, but does ship some copper concentrate, generally overflow from the Guaymas port. So they're very hungry and keen to see us ship through that port. And all of this and our involvement in the community has generated recent highly focused support from the government. So in particular, that support's been generated specifically from a congressman for Sinaloa, a guy from Los Mochis, which is proximal to the Topolobampo port we discussed, and his focus, concern, and very much, I guess, his love is for the people of northern Sinaloa and their well-being. And so he sees the project as a key component of moving the regional economy forward.
Yeah, and I think that that's probably one of the most prevalent things because one of the biggest risks is obviously government approvals, permitting, all this stuff. And now that you kind of got a foothold within the government, especially with Mexico moving with their plan Mexico to start stimulating the economy internally with a focus on some metals and resources, hopefully that really helps clear some of the, I guess, some of the risk that investors might have, and maybe just getting an idea of like all this past work that's led up to this moment. Right now, you're in Mexico. There's a lot going on. Maybe tell us what the progression is from here and what you're going to be spending your time with down there.
Certainly. Obviously, with the recent government support and focus on us, we're looking to respond to that in kind, with our focus being on what it is the government is most interested in us proceeding with. And at this point, it's moving forward on the early stages of environmental permitting, which require us to do certain environmental work towards an environmental impact statement. And so we're kicking that off in the course of the month ahead. We're going through the legal due diligence and all those other things that will prepare us to do that work comprehensively, cover off all the aspects that will be required longer term, and just make sure we're answering all the important questions that an EIA will require. So that's been the focus just recently and will be for the next short period. But obviously we're looking forward to resuming other technical work over and above the environmental. But that's our focus right now, and is sort of the focus of what I've been doing most recently and will be focused on next month.
Yeah, and just as my personal opinion, and I think for viewers to that are checking out your stock price, which we'll leave the links to your website and everything in the description below, that there's a tremendous disconnect between the value proposition of this asset you have and your current fundamentals and your stock price. So I recommend as investors go and explore yourself, but we'd love to know what you think and consider subscribing for news and catalysts as it comes down the wire. We're going to bring it to you here. But on that, we look forward to catching you in the next one.